Imagine getting slapped with a $250,000 fine from your HOA for some ridiculous violations on your own property, only to flip the script and discover you actually own their entire neighborhood. This is the ultimate revenge story that's got everyone talking. Buckle up, because what starts as a nightmare of nitpicky rules turns into a total power move that'll leave you cheering. If you're loving these wild HOA horror stories turned triumphs, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an epic takedown. Share your own HOA nightmares in the comments. We might feature them next. In the quiet suburbs of Willow Creek, where manicured lawns stretched like green carpets under the watchful eyes of neighborhood enforcers, lived Alex Thompson, a mild-mannered software engineer who'd inherited a sprawling property from his late grandfather. The house sat on the edge of the development, a bit older and more rustic than the cookie-cutter homes that filled the rest of the gated community. Alex had always kept to himself, tinkering in his garage workshop and tending to a small vegetable garden that backed onto a wooded area he assumed was part of his land. But the Homeowners Association, or HOA as everyone dreaded it, had other ideas. Led by the iron-fisted president Marlene Whitaker, the HOA was notorious for its draconian rules. Everything from the shade of mailbox paint to the height of fences had to pass muster, or fines would rain down like confetti at a parade gone wrong. It started innocently enough. Alex received his first notice about 6 months after moving in. His garden beds were unsightly and violated the aesthetic guidelines. He shrugged it off, adjusted the borders, and thought that was the end. But Marlene and her committee seemed to have a personal vendetta. Soon, citations piled up for minor infractions, a shed that was 2 inches too tall, holiday lights left up a day past the deadline, even the color of his front door, which they deemed too vibrant despite it being the original hue from decades ago. Each fine was small at first, $50 here, $100 there, but they added up, and Alex paid them grudgingly, not wanting trouble in his new home. As the months wore on, the violations escalated. Alex decided to build a small chicken coop in the back, thinking the wooded section provided plenty of space and privacy. The HOA swooped in like hawks, claiming the coop encroached on common areas and posed a health risk. A $500 fine arrived, followed by demands to dismantle it immediately. Alex complied, but resentment brewed. He started noticing how the HOA favored certain residents. Marlene's cronies got away with oversized gazebos and exotic landscaping, while outsiders like him bore the brunt. Then came the big one. Alex had always used a dirt path through the woods for hiking and accessing a nearby stream. One day he cleared some underbrush to make it safer, removing fallen branches and invasive vines. The HOA's response was swift and severe. A certified letter accusing him of unauthorized alteration of community property, complete with photos taken by drone. Apparently, they'd been surveilling his land. The fine, a staggering $250,000, citing cumulative violations, environmental damage, and potential lawsuits from other homeowners. Alex stared at the paper in disbelief, his hands shaking. How could they fine him that much for his own backyard? The letter threatened liens, foreclosure, even legal action if unpaid within 30 days. Panic set in. Alex pored over his property deed, but the boundaries seemed vague, referencing old surveys from the 1950s when his grandfather had bought the land. The development had sprung up around it in the 80s, and somehow, the HOA had assumed control over adjacent parcels. He contacted the county records office, but the clerk was unhelpful, suggesting he hire a surveyor. Sleepless nights followed as Alex imagined losing everything: his home, his savings, his grandfather's legacy, all because of overzealous busybodies. Determined not to go down without a fight, Alex hired a local attorney specializing in real estate disputes. The lawyer, a no-nonsense type named Jordan Hayes, reviewed the documents and raised an eyebrow at the inconsistencies. "This doesn't add up," Jordan muttered during their meeting, flipping through yellowed pages. They decided to dig deeper, requesting historical plats and title searches. As the investigation began, Alex felt a glimmer of hope amid the dread. Little did he know, this was just the tip of a massive iceberg that would upend the entire neighborhood. The fines loomed like a dark cloud, but Alex pushed forward, attending HOA meetings where Marlene presided like a queen on her throne, her committee nodding in sycophantic agreement. He observed the dynamics, the whispers, the sidelong glances at him as the troublemaker. The $250,000 demand felt personal, perhaps retaliation for questioning earlier fines. Alex's bank account dwindled from legal fees and stress lines etched his face. Friends advised him to sell and move, but stubbornness rooted him in place. This was his land, his home. As Jordan delved into the archives, peculiar details emerged. The original development plans showed Alex's property as a carve-out, exempt from HOA jurisdiction. But somewhere along the line, boundaries had been redrawn. Suspiciously, around the time Marlene's husband, a real estate developer, had been involved in expanding the community. Alex recalled vague family stories about his grandfather lending land for access roads, but nothing formal. The surveyor they hired confirmed overlaps. Parts of the neighborhood's common areas, including the clubhouse and playground, sat on what appeared to be Alex's acreage. Tensions mounted as the 30-day deadline approached. Marlene sent follow-up letters, each more aggressive, warning of court proceedings. Alex's garden wilted under neglect, mirroring his spirits. Yet in quiet moments he dreamed of turning the tables, exposing the HOA's overreach. The investigation uncovered a forgotten easement agreement from 1982, granting temporary use of Alex's land for utilities but not ownership transfer. Jordan's excitement grew. This could invalidate many HOA claims. One evening, poring over maps spread across his kitchen table, Alex traced lines that revealed the shocking truth. His grandfather hadn't just owned the house and woods. He'd held title to the entire parcel that became Willow Creek. The development had been built on subdivided land, but due to a clerical error or perhaps deliberate oversight, the master deed never fully transferred. Alex's heart raced. If true, he owned not just his plot, but the streets, the amenities, everything. The revelation hit like a thunderbolt, promising a dramatic reversal, but proving it would require more evidence, and time was running out. With the deadline ticking, Alex and Jordan raced to assemble proof, visiting dusty county vaults and interviewing elderly locals who remembered the original sales. Whispers spread through the neighborhood. Some residents sided with Alex, tired of Marlene's tyranny, while others feared upheaval. The stage was set for a confrontation that would rewrite the rules of Willow Creek. As the investigation deepened, Alex and Jordan uncovered layers of deception buried in the neighborhood's history. The original developer, a company tied to Marlene's family, had rushed the subdivision in the booming 80s market, cutting corners on title transfers. Alex's grandfather, a shrewd farmer, had sold portions but retained underlying rights to the core acreage, including mineral and access privileges that extended under the entire development. Old maps from the 1950s showed his land as a vast tract, with later plats overlaying homes and roads without proper severance. Jordan hired a title expert who pored over chains of custody, revealing forged signatures on key documents, subtle alterations that transferred oversight to the HOA without full consent. Marlene's husband had been the notary on several, raising red flags of conflict. Alex felt a surge of vindication. This wasn't just overreach, but potential fraud. The $250,000 fine now seemed like a desperate ploy to force him out before truth surfaced. Neighborhood unrest brewed. Anonymous notes appeared in mailboxes, questioning HOA fees that funded Marlene's lavish events while ignoring maintenance. Alex stayed silent, building his case. He discovered his property included the underground aquifer feeding the community's wells, meaning he could theoretically control water access. The implications staggered him. Owning the neighborhood meant leverage over everything from landscaping to expansions. As evidence mounted, Jordan filed a quiet title action in court, seeking to clarify ownership. The HOA, sensing trouble, doubled down, sending inspectors daily to nitpick Alex's property. His once peaceful home became a battleground, with drones buzzing overhead and committee members photographing from the street. Stress took its toll. Alex lost weight, his work suffered, but determination fueled him. Late nights revealed more. Tax records showed Alex's grandfather paying on the full parcel for years after the development, unchallenged until his death. A breakthrough came from an unlikely source, an old-timer who had worked on the original surveys. Contacted through a mutual friend, he recalled disputes over boundaries, confirming the developer's shortcuts. Armed with affidavits, Jordan prepared to confront the HOA board. Alex imagined the shock on Marlene's face, the crumbling of her empire. But caution prevailed. They needed ironclad proof to avoid countersuits. The court date loomed, coinciding with the fine's due date. Alex's savings teetered on depletion, but supporters emerged, neighbors offering testimonies of HOA abuses. The story leaked to local media, painting Alex as the underdog against bureaucratic bullies. Online forums buzzed with similar tales, amplifying the drama. Alex felt the tide turning, from victim to potential victor. In a pivotal moment, Jordan unearthed the master deed original, tucked in a misfiled box at the records office. It clearly stated Alex's family retained fee simple ownership, with the development built under a long-term lease that had expired unnoticed. The revelation exploded like fireworks. Alex didn't just own his land. He owned the ground beneath every home in Willow Creek. The HOA's authority was illusory, built on sand. Empowered, Alex and Jordan strategized the reveal. The neighborhood annual meeting approached, where Marlene planned to announce new rules. Alex attended incognito, heart-pounding. As discussions unfolded, he waited for the perfect opening. The truth poised to shatter illusions, setting the stage for reclamation and reckoning. With the master deed in hand, Alex and Jordan stormed into the fray, transforming the annual meeting into a spectacle of exposure. Marlene, presiding with her usual smug authority, opened the floor to grievances, never expecting the bombshell. Alex rose, documents clutched, and laid out the facts methodically. The historical ownership, the expired lease, the fraudulent transfers. Gasps rippled through the room as neighbors absorbed the implications. Their homes sat on Alex's land, the HOA's coffers filled from unauthorized fees. Panic ensued. Marlene blustered denials, but Jordan presented copies for all, backed by court filings. The title action gained traction, with a judge issuing a temporary injunction halting HOA enforcements. Investigations widened, drawing in state attorneys who sniffed fraud. Marlene's empire crumbled. Her committee scattered, some turning state's evidence to reveal kickbacks and embezzlement. Alex, now the unwitting landlord, navigated the chaos with grace. He offered fair leases to residents, waiving back rents in exchange for dissolving the HOA. Many cheered the change, electing a new democratic association under fair rules. Marlene faced lawsuits, her home, ironically on Alex's property, foreclosed after revelations of her schemes. She slunk away, defeated, her reign ended. Willow Creek transformed. Alex's woods became a community park, his garden a shared haven. Fines refunded, harmony restored. The $250,000 threat boomeranged, with Alex awarded damages for harassment. He rebuilt his life stronger, a legend in suburbia for toppling tyrants with truth. In the end, what began as a punitive fine unveiled a hidden empire, proving sometimes the underdog owns the whole yard. Justice, delayed but delicious, prevailed in the most unexpected way. Thanks for tuning in to this insane HOA revenge saga. If you enjoyed it, smash that like button, subscribe for more wild stories, and drop a comment with your craziest neighbor drama. We'll see you in the next one.